So good day everyone. So my topic is about the gender-based violence, the survivor, victim, perpetrator, and human rights. So the lesson objectives: understand the definition of gender-based violence and other related terms and its forms and consequences. Understand gender-based violence as a human right issue and determine the relationship between human rights and gender-based violence. And last is differentiate perpetrators, survivors, and victims in gender-based violence. So what is gender-based violence? It is one of the most widespread and human right abuses but less recognized in the world. And it refers to any harm perpetrated against a person's will on the basis of gender, the socially ascribed differences between males and females, and also has devastating consequences not only for victims but also as a whole. And it results in physical, sexual, and psychological harm to both men and women, and includes any form of violence or abuse that targets men or women or the basis of their sex. And why is gender-based violence so important? So gender equality is central to safeguarding human rights, upholding democracy, and preserving the rule of law. Also contributes to cultivating a heteronormative society and perpetuates the power of men. So the consequences are the result or effect of gender-based violence. These consequences include serious, immediate, and long-term impacts on the sexual, physical, and psychological health of survivors. Sexual health is a state of physical, emotional, mental, and social well-being related to sexuality. While the physical health, the condition of your body, taking into consideration everything from the absence of disease to fitness level. And it's critical for overall well-being and can be affected by lifestyle, diet, level of physical activity, and also the behavior. And the psychological health, it affects how we think, feel, and act. An example of these are having persistent thoughts and memories you can't get out of your head, then hearing voices or believing things that are not true, and also thinking of harming yourself or others. So the health consequences include unwanted pregnancies, complications for unsafe abortions, sexually transmitted infections including HIV, injuries, mental health and psychological effects, the depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress, suicide, and death. While the social consequences, it extend to families and communities. Families can also be stigmatized as a consequence of gender-based violence. So what is stigma in family? So it refers to blame, shame, and contamination. So the most frequently cited effects and stigma on ill relatives were damage to self-esteem, difficulty making and helping, difficulty making and keeping friends, difficulty finding a job, and also damage family relationships. And the economic consequences include the cost of public health and social welfare systems and the reduced ability of many survivors to participate in social and economic life. So let's continue to survivor, victim, and perpetrator. So, survivor is the preferred term, not a victim, of a person who has lived through an incident of gender-based violence. So, we often use survivor refer to someone who has gone through the recovery process or when discussing the short or long-term effects of sexual violence. And some people identify as a victim while others prefer to term survivor. The best way to be respectful is to ask for their preference. So, ang ilang differences is, ang survivor is defined by their life afterwards, while the victim defined by the harm that has come to them. So, perpetrator sila yung tinatawag na salarin sa Tagalog pa. So, sila yung sumusuporta o pumapayag sa karahasan ng iba pang-aabuso laban sa isang tao or sa grupo ng tao. And also, someone who has committed a crime or a violent or a harmful act. And the characteristic of perpetrators include persons with real or perceived power, persons in decision-making positions, and persons in authority. So the human rights are universal, inalienable, indivisible, interconnected, and interdependent. So human rights are needed to protect and preserve every individual's humanity, to ensure that every individual can live a life of dignity and a life that is worthy of a human being. And why should anyone respect them? Fundamentally, because everyone is a human being and therefore a moral being. So these include the following amongst others: the right to life and property of persons, the right to the highest attainable standard of physical and mental health, and the right to freedom from torture or cruel, inhuman or degrading treatment or punishment. And last is the right to freedom of opinion and expression and also to education. So that's all. Thank you.